Hi. All right. We are live. I gotta figure out here how to add my friend. Still kind of new to this. Okay. He's not here yet, so I can't add him. Yeah, there he is. Hey. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Hey.
Hi. Good to
Now
see
I'm
you. How
trying to
are you?
position. Good. I'm trying to position my camera here. And it keeps on.
Yeah,
Let's
camera. I
see.
feel like it's today. I was leaving a message for my friend while I was making coffee, so I had the phone leaned up against um, the coffee grinder, which I was done with, and then propped it with a coffee mug, and I'm like cleaning out the other things. It's this whole process because we TJ really loves his coffee, so we grind it fresh when we make coffee. So you gotta like clean
Yeah,
your coffee grinder
that's awesome.
every time.
I don't have a taste. I tried
uh,
coffee one time and I couldn't connect with the taste. And so I applaud coffee drinkers because I'm like, I don't know, I can't I can't dig it. I can't.
and it and I didn't like coffee until hello, welcome. Glad you are here. We're not going to talk about coffee for much longer, but we're talking about coffee right now. Um, yeah, I didn't like it until college, because I took a trip to Costa Rica, and that's where I actually had good coffee. Because before that, it was coffee ice cream or like sweetened and had a lot of milk in it. But now I drink it black, but I like if it's black coffee, it's just like bitter and burnt. But like good coffee has a lot of complex flavor and it is not crazy acidic. But yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
personally a fan of Starbucks, even though
Yeah.
they're pretty good. Well, anyway, I won't get Starbucks. There's a whole lot going on with them right now. Okay, you want to dive in? Let's dive
Oh,
in.
what's that?
Um,
Oh, yes.
okay, I hope our connection's all right. We just restarted our router because it was acting up.
Gotcha. So far, so good.
Cool. So yeah, so welcome, friends. This is my good friend, Mr. Keegan Leiba, actor, coach, casting director, co-teacher. So we're here today. We're talking about the movie that we created for Easter called Pierced and Perfected. It's adapted from a one-woman stage show, which I wrote and performed. But to put it on film, we added some actors in, and so Keegan graciously played Luke. And we had a great time together. So we're going to talk some about the movie today, but we also wanted to talk about how we can help support good work going on in the Ukraine. Something I'm doing with the movie right now is that if you rent or download it on my site, those proceeds will go to an organization called Hope Worldwide, which increases the money. They make more money out of the little bit of money, and they're providing right now a great amount of like meals and medical supplies, like a lot of really good stuff going on. So yeah, those are the two things we'll talk about. So first off, happy Easter week to everybody. Um, Obviously, we're talking Easter this morning. If you're listening to this or rewatching this and you don't celebrate Easter, well, welcome. Hopefully, this will be an intro for you about why Easter is so amazing and probably the most important day for those who claim to follow Jesus. So, Keegan, what stands out most to you, I guess, about this movie, about what Easter means? Yeah, I'll lend you the floor.
Let's see. I think what stands out about this movie is seeing or sort of looking at Mary in a different way outside of the Bible. What I know of Mary from the Bible was that she was chosen by God to give birth to Jesus, and she was righteous and she was pure, she was holy, she was just an amazing young lady to start off with. And she was by Jesus's side growing up, and specifically when he went through his suffering, she was right there. And when he was on the cross, she was right there. And then even afterwards, going to the tomb and just being participating in whatever the disciples were doing, she was right there. But this side of Mary, I didn't really study out in the Bible, just the humanistic side, the emotional side, the frustrated side. Some people may say the dark side, some with the nightmares that she had, and just seeing Mary's fears sort of being played out as she was telling the story of Jesus, and just seeing Mary as a regular mother, like that can relate with any mom, any parent, any guardian, losing a lost one, loving someone, and then losing that love in such a tragic, unfair, unjust way. And so I think that stands out is just Mary's humanity. Uh, and I really had a fun time experiencing that with you as we had that conversation on film, and it helped me to sort of put myself back in those days maybe and imagine what it would have been like actually talking to Mary and conversing with Mary. And as I was taking down notes, just being jolted a little bit by some of the things Mary was sharing, not just what she was saying, but how she was saying it, and being able to observe Mary's like even facial reactions and body language, and just like, wow, this Mary, this iconic Mary sitting right before me, she's a real person. And I'm having a conversation with her. She's a real person. And she has fears just like I have fears. She has anger and frustrations just like I have anger and frustrations. And I have struggles, she has struggles. And even though a lot of it happened when she was a little bit younger, just still seeing that she still has these struggles in her heart, and she still struggles with it maybe from time to time, even as a mature woman. And so that's what really stood out to me about the film.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And if you're watching,
Yeah.
if you have any questions while we're talking, please put them in the chat. I'll answer them. I really think that I think this is an important piece because I think it can relate to everybody. Like I think everybody can find something to relate to about Mary, even if you
Yeah.
are male and not female, or it's elderly Mary in this film and the story. It's that she's telling Luke about her life to prepare him for. Oh, hey Lori, thanks. To prepare him to write his gospel. Um, and so she's recounting these episodes of her life, kind of throughout time, through Jesus's crucifixion and losing him, then through seeing him again and processing through um, her own ways that she thinks she failed, and like coming to terms with those things, and then moving forward in her life. Um, so I think we all have things that we've gone through, especially in these last couple years. We have experienced injustice, um, or it's been more brought to light over these last couple years. We've lost loved ones. Just if we've gone through grief at all, like I think everybody's been already knew what that was, and she had friends around her to go through it with her. So I just think, wow, there's so much about her story that people could find at least something to hold on to, because it is a hopeful ending. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. This is a woman who got to actually know God in the flesh. Like, I believe anyway that we all have this innate desire to know God. And she raised him. Like, she held his hand when he fell down. She cleaned his scraped knees. Like, um, she raised him, and then of course she watches him become his own person and leave to pursue his ministry. Um, but the relationship that she got to have with him after his resurrection and ascension, when he leaves, because he gives his spirit to the disciples, it's an even closer relationship. Oh, I'm not just going to live in your house anymore. You're not just going to be able to talk to me when I'm in the Galilee or coming through Capernaum. Like, I'm going to be with you always, and I'm actually going to live in your physical body. And that's the
Mm,
relationship that we get to have with Jesus. This
yeah.
closer, more intimate relationship than even their son relationship. Blows my mind. And um, so I think that's just a piece of the hope that we have that Easter represents.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how, you read about these characters in the Bible and you imagine, wow, they must have been so incredible or had so much faith or all of these amazing characteristics that you would like to imitate. And sometimes they feel not reachable, like not attainable, like, oh, I can never be like Mary. She was just just perfect kind of thing in our mind sometimes. Like, oh, I can never be like this person or that person. And you read about their flaws, but just the amazing things that they accomplished with God's help, even struggling through their flaws and through their weaknesses, it's still, and there's my cat. Hey, say hi.
Oh,
She wants to be a part of the chat. But but yeah,
love
but
it.
even in reading their weaknesses, it's still for me, it's still sometimes hard to be like, oh, how can I be like this person? How can I be like that person in real life? And I think this film allows you to reach for Mary's characteristics and be able to attain Mary in a real grounded way where, okay, Mary is not on this high pedestal that I put her. Mary comes down to earth. Okay, she has nightmares like I have nightmares, and she has these emotions that sometimes even years and years and years after the crucifixion, and this is real, like even after we lose loved ones or we go through tragedy, it doesn't just leave us. Yes, we may move on, but we don't forget, right? And some of those emotions, just in having a conversation with Mary, were very raw, And I was like, wow, that's real life. Like when we lose loved ones or when we go through tragedy, sometimes it takes years and years to process that grief or that tragedy. But still, sometimes when we talk about it years and years after, some of the emotions might still be there. And it's sort of like a therapy session, that conversation, just Luke listening and writing, and Mary just being able to just, hey, this is me, this is what I struggle with, this is who I am, and that was really, it was very endearing, and it really connected me with Mary, and I hope it connects the people that watch the film that, okay, I could so relate with Mary with this. So,
Yeah, thank you. I also think about my hope, considering all of especially all of the women right now in Russia and in the Ukraine whose husbands have died, or who they are separated from, who have lost other loved ones. I mean, we all know it's just really harsh out there right now. And I can't imagine, like, I have not seen war. I don't know what that's like. I have not had loss on that level. Um, and I don't know if Mary had quite seen it on that level, but she would have seen people crucified lining the streets. You know, she would have seen, she was living in an oppressive society. Um, she knew what it was like to not love those who ruled over her. Um, and uh, and so I guess my question um, with this whole piece is today, where do we see hope in this kind of situation? Because it looks extremely bleak. And we hear some good news stories. We hear about people showing up and loving each other, taking meals to people in bomb shelters and providing things, providing whatever they can. And those stories are helpful. But on a big scale, where does the hope come from? And so that's where I think that this is the whole message of Easter. Like this world
Mhm.
is under the rulership of some really nasty, dark forces, and Jesus took them on in in his death, and he rose over them in his resurrection. Now, it didn't like end the world and stop it all, but for those who participate in that, that is the same legacy we have um, through sacrifice and rebirth, bring light into
Yeah.
the world. So I know those are kind of terms, and it's hard to even try to put it into
Yeah.
words how beautiful what he did is, um, and like to think about eternity and like this grand hope, but a war, it's brought to mind because it's like, wow, yeah, this world is really messed up. Um, so there's like a grand level, but then also we have a smaller level where we can actually
Mhm.
do some good in the moment to help in a lot of ways. So, Keegan, you're familiar with Hope Worldwide, right?
Yes.
Tell me,
Yeah.
what's a Hope Worldwide experience you've had?
So when I was younger, a teenager actually, I became a disciple. I surrendered my life to God when I was about 17 years old, and got baptized and got introduced to Hope Worldwide, and I would help out with different events that they would have. But one specific experience, I think I did this twice, if I remember correctly, at least once. But I was part of the Hope Youth Corps, and we traveled to, I believe it was Mexico City. And we were part of one, we put on this performance as part of this group called the Story Tree Gang. And so we put on performances for the audiences in Mexico City, but also the main purpose or the main mission of going there was to visit orphanages in, I think the name of the city was Cuernavaca. And that was just a memorable time. Just I've never before traveled for that purpose to go help those in need. And so I love Hope Worldwide. I love the organization. I love what they stand for. And I love that you had this brilliant idea of using this film as a vessel to help those in Ukraine and to partner up or collaborate with Hope Worldwide to help those in Ukraine. Because I feel, as an American, I feel spoiled because I feel privileged. And then watching the news for the past, I don't how long this war has been going on, maybe a month or so. It seems like forever this war has been going on every single day. It gets numbing, and it you know I can easily get jaded to what's happening because every day it's thousands and thousands of people dead and like okay, shelter with kids and just these images and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it feels overwhelming, right? It feels like, what can I do? Like, I'm so saddened. I pray, but is there anything else that I can just do? I know I can't go over there. So what can I do? Little old me, what can I do? Right? And so I just love this this idea that you brought up, this concept, this partnership with Hope Worldwide, and just using this film, like for anybody that wants to watch this film, that wants to rent it for $5, that wants to download it for $15, that goes to the disaster relief in Ukraine. And I'm like, okay, that's what I can do. I can use my art to help people in need. And then I had this conversation I was sharing with you earlier on. I had this conversation with my mom. We were in the car, I was picking her up, and she was talking about this post on Facebook that I did about this film, this movie, what it's about. And she said, and what is it with Ukraine? And I saw this other thing about Hope Worldwide. What is that? And I was like, oh yeah, the proceeds are going to the disaster relief in Ukraine. And she's like, oh, I want to help out. Because she too, she expressed that she felt overwhelmed. Like she was saddened by what she was seeing, by what she was hearing going on in Ukraine. And she felt a little bit like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Right. And she's like, oh yeah, I wanna own this so that it can go to so I could have a sense of peace or a sense of security that I did my part. It may be a small little part, but it's like these small little parts add up to a big part, right? And so it's like each person just rents or downloads. That's a small little part, but that's still an important and necessary part. That's still helping. That's still helping out and doing your part, doing what we can outside of praying. The Bible talks about faith and action going together. And so I'm like, okay, if there's hope for me, there's got to be hope for Ukraine. There's got to be hope for people in Ukraine, and in Russia too as well, that 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 doesn't like this war and what's going on, and that are fleeing and are trying to get protection and shelter and everything like that. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I give hope to them? And I think this is how I can give hope through art, through what the skills and the talent that God has given me, and through just by donating and giving money to people that know how to use that money in order to benefit the people in Ukraine and to help the people in Ukraine. And so I applaud you, and I was so excited to see, you know, that the proceeds were going to that, and I'm just really grateful for what God has placed in your mind and in your heart. No, one, just making this film, writing this film, creating this film, being open to allowing your baby, in a sense, because it started off with you on stage, and allowing your baby to grow up to where it graduated from stage to film. And then you thinking of, well, okay, I made this beautiful creation and I have this beautiful baby. How can I give it back to God? And I think this is one way to give it back to God, is helping other people in need.
Hi, Terry Bailey. Great to see you. Thanks for hopping on. Um, yeah, I thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, it was an easy decision. Hope's a great organization. If you're just watching and you're not sure what Hope is, they're a charity that's been around about 30 years, and they work all around the world. They got started with youth education programs and hospital programs. Um, and they serve 1.5 million people on every inhabited continent every year, and they're continuing to grow. So what they've done in Ukraine so far, I mentioned a little bit earlier, supplies for medical things and food. So a lot of the money is going to equip Christians over there who are then making food and sharing it. Um, they're even like going to buy pigs, like wholesale, like going to a farm and buying a live pig to process meat because it's getting harder to buy food and to buy for a large amount of people. So like people put in a lot of work into trying to feed those who need food right now. So Hope is helping supply that. And with the medical supplies, they worked out a deal with this organization called Heart to Heart. And this is the biggest deal Hope's ever had. They were able to ship in successfully $20 million worth of surgical supplies, high quality medical supplies, not just your band-aids and salves, like good equipment that was really needed. And they had a brave bus driver or truck driver who took took the things around to various hospitals. Um, so yeah, they're doing some really good work, and they do know how to multiply the and yeah. So if you want to rent or download, just know that's where I hear someone. Is that your
Yeah,
child?
that's my daughter in the background.
Oh,
She doesn't want to take a bath.
oh, life. Well, we probably do need to wrap it up, but I just want to thank you again for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this piece. It was such a great process. I was a comfort to have you as my friend be a part of it with me. So thank you for that, and thank you for your support. Now, thank you guys for hopping on. Um, Definitely hop over to my website if you want to rent or download it. That is katiedelrocco.com. And if you want to get right to it, just put slash rent screen by with little dashes in between. Yeah, and I guess I could drop the link in here, can't I? I gotta learn how to do all this
Hmm.
Facebook Live stuff. Um, any thoughts, Keegan?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to know the many reaches of this film, that it's going to not only impact people that watch it, but that it's going to impact people globally, specifically in Ukraine. So I'm really excited about um, where this film is going to go. For me, it's like if you want to reach the masses, you got to do it through media. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of this journey with you and part of this process. And so thank you.
Um, that's it. Appreciate you hopping on. And as we pray, this came to mind while you were talking. Let's definitely pray for all of the all those who are making the bad decisions right now. Um, and remember Jesus saying, "Father, forgive them; they don't know what they're doing." Um, I realized I had to do a heart check about my attitude toward
Yes.
all of that. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Happy Easter.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.